I was just made aware that I have no sound. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Emmett from Team Anvil. Today, we're going to talk about the reality of the situation that we live in, which is that we live in a kind of turbulent times in a society where people will, and prove pretty frequently that they will do up to and including murder for no reason. It's always something over here. Had to mute it real quick so I could talk. Anyways, I swear, hey, you know what? I'm gonna put it to you guys this way. So very frequently, what I will do is I will ask people that have attended a course that I interact with online or that have hit us up for any reason. And hey, what's going on, Casey, Aegis, Billy, and honorable mention, Restream. No, I'm joking. Get a few more people in here, and then we'll get it. Aegis in at the beginning. All right. Now we got more traffic in here right off the rip than we usually do. Got no audio. All right. So, I ask a lot of people that have been to courses or that we talk to when I see them out and about is like, hey, you got your gun on you? You know, like, are you carrying now? And a lot of times people are like, nah, man, I got it in my car just in case something happens. I'm like, yeah, how long does it take you to get to your car? And it's like, good point. Yeah, I probably should have it on me at all times. Hey, what's up, my man at Renewed Painting? Coming in with the business. That's my dude, Wade. And then, you start asking more questions and you realize that a lot of people, they don't have a tribe of dudes or a group of people that they regularly train with. And usually the same reason that I will always hear is, well, like, it's not like the end of the world. And I'm not like really like a prepper or anything like that. And that's what preppers do. Bless me. To which I always kind of try and get people to, I press back on that and I say, look, we have fire drills so that if a fire breaks out in our house, it doesn't consume and kill us all. It's so that we have a plan so that we can get out of the danger zone, get our necessities, our loved ones, and get out. And if everything burns down, it burns down. It can be replaced. Our lives cannot be replaced. Same thing for tornado drills. Nowadays, now we have active shooter drills at our schools and all this other stuff. And it's like, we don't have these drills because they never happen and because lives are never lost. We have these drills so that we can prevent the loss of life, if at all possible. And so I carry in my kitchen. Man, I carry everywhere. I mean, I can't show you, because like I'm on Facebook Live. I don't really understand the nuances of Facebook, but and YouTube and all that stuff about being live and whatnot. But here we are. Anyways, in a time where I need to do better with my lighting, clearly. Hold on that note. Why is it not that bright? Oh, dang. Here we go. Lighting fixed. Boom. It's like being in a studio. All right. Anyways, so 100% of home invasions happen in a home. And that's the thing right there, right? I wish I could impress upon people more so than we already do that how we choose to think about pretty much anything determines a lot of times the outcome that we're going to have. when it comes to this thing called life. If for whatever reason I'm like, I know a lot of new concealed carriers will be like, man, I've gotten those questions. Hey, where can I carry? Like, what, like, am I allowed to carry at this building or in this part of town? Can I carry at the mall? Anywhere I see like a no guns allowed sign, I just like go back to my car and leave it in my car. And my question is always like, are you open carrying or concealed carrying? And most of the time people are like, hey, I'm concealed carrying. Okay, cool. So the only person that knows you have a gun is you. So what? And there's the wife, the DJ in the side chat. And you know what? I like what Billy just said right there. Saying that's been going around for a long time. He probably created it, and we're just all hearing it now. But rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6, right? Put that in perspective. It takes 6 pallbearers to carry your coffin from the hearse to the hole dug into the ground. You know, so for everybody that always kind of thinks, hey man, like I just your grandfather. I don't really need to carry, man. Like, no big deal. There's security there, or it's a really good place of town. I'll be fine. It's like there's a lot of people that are dead right now that have said the same words. Like, if I need it, I know where to go get it. So I encourage the Anvil Nation to get rid of that thinking and like replace it with, I'm going to actively use my rights to my advantage. I'm not just going to carry this gun. I'm going to go get training. And that leads me to really like the big point. And I'm going to be banging this drum pretty much all year. All right. For the rest of the year is training. Team Anvil is a training company. Yes. But you might not live here in Central Ohio or in Ohio, period. You might live in Idaho, or you might live in Florida. And you're not going to be able to come here, to Central Ohio and come train with me and the team and all that stuff. And that's fine, right? Like, there are plenty of amazing trainers out there. I always tell people, go find one, register for their course, go to it, learn something, become more confident with your working tools so that you can go out there and carry that firearm every single day in every situation outside of like a police station or courthouse, someplace where you're definitely going to catch a felony. If you end up in there, don't do that. In Indiana, at least, the state law is such that a person's right to carry trumps a business no gun sign. All right, so here in Ohio, and depending on where you go outside of Ohio, I don't know about every state, but where we've lived, most of the states have kind of followed the same like civil code, which is the mall, for example, is private property. So if there's a sign on a mall, it's not like a law. It's more of like a civil infraction. And the only way you could be litigated is through the owner of that property actually filing a lawsuit against you. That's how that would get triggered. Here in Ohio, it's the same thing. It's essentially like, consider it private property. Like, a financial group of people have put together X amount of money to purchase real estate and then build on top of it. And it's their business. So it's pretty easy to get around. Again, that whole judged by 12 versus carried by 6 thing is, I think, pretty valid, because at the end of the day, who in their right mind, like, so I live in just right around Columbus, and geez, 2 weeks, or I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks back to back, there were shootings at the Polaris Mall on Polaris Parkway here. And I don't even know if it's Lewis Center, whatever. 2 weeks back to back shootings. Now, nobody got shot, nobody got killed. However, without fail. What that tells me is that these guys were able to shoot off rounds inside of a mall, and there was nobody around them that was carrying. Nobody was concealed carrying around them. Because anybody that is a defender of others, you know, a proactive member of society that's like, you know what, man, not on my watch. Or the kind of person that's like, man, I didn't buy this gun to tell people I have a gun. I bought this firearm so that I could go out there and get really good training, get really proficient with it, and then be a defender for my family, myself, and those around me, right? Like those people, if they would have been at that mall, would have pulled their firearm from concealment and shot and killed those two bad turds that decided they were going to start shooting up like over some beef or whatever. Who cares? Who knows? Who cares? Free men don't ask for permission. Yeah, this T-Rex arms hat's pretty cool. So we're looking at getting some Team Anvil hats made, and I like this hat so I don't wear it a lot, but I like it so much that I wish I could find out where it was built and made, and then go ahead and get those ordered for myself. Billy said it's about intent. I carry a firearm with the intent of protecting myself and those who can't protect themselves. If you want to put me in jail for that, so be. Yeah, I hear you, man. Same thing. I don't think a whole lot of juries are going to land on. All this is teaching me is that I need to like clear out my garage and create a safe place for me to be able to do these podcasts. Because with dogs and life happening, me making everybody press the pause button, it doesn't work out. Here, bring her to me. Zoe, come here. Here, Zoe, here. Come here. She don't want to come now. Now she's silent. She's like, wait, what happened? Am I in trouble? Anyways, so yeah, I think intent does matter. Like I know some police officers that we've trained with, they don't want their faces in anything. They want it redacted. They don't want us to like tag them and stuff because if for whatever reason they were involved in a shoot at work, and once that investigation goes live, from how they kind of perceive things based off of history and their departments, like, man, them having any video of them doing training could be used against them in a court of law, like, or to get them fired and make them seem like they're extremists or something like that. I think that's crazy that we live in a society where you will be judged unfairly or kind of labeled as something because you decide to drill down on pistol and rifle marksmanship, so that if you for whatever reason ever end up in a situation where you have to use that firearm to defend yourself or others around you, you can do it with an extreme amount of competency and confidence and accuracy. So let's get into the tribe life, right? So one of our big goals pretty early on in Team Anvil, or one of my goals very immediately, was I wanted Team Anvil to be a community-based type company. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to recycle training to the same people all the time. The business has to grow, the pool has to grow, the community, the tribe, whatever you want to call it, it has to grow for a business to thrive. But I realized pretty quickly that not everybody has $250 that they can throw at a course, or $500 or whatever, every month. So we wanted to create a way for people to be able to get a little bit better and be able to interact with people just like them. And so we started our meet and shoots. All right. So not for nothing, but this Sunday, we are bringing them back out now that the weather is better. We've been doing them all throughout the winter, but hardly anybody shows up to them because they're crazy, cold and windy. And most people want to stay dry and warm in the winter. I mean, who doesn't? But you got experience building recording studios? Yeah, I need to know everything. I'm going to be here for at least another year. So yeah, maybe go get like a storage container, go put all that stuff in the garage. Anyways, getting back to the tribe life, right? So one of the things that we've been making a point to do more and more and more as the time has went by is to make sure that we're advertising where we're going to be, when we're going to be there, and if there is a monetary like obligation, what that might be, so that people, could kind of plan for it and come out and build that tribe, right? Like I have probably like, I would say us team guys, like we do a lot together, and we kind of have like a core of people around us, that we do a lot of training with. And sometimes it kind of floats depending on where we're at. But I mean, I'd say like big picture, like we probably have a pretty solid core of dudes that we do training with. And every time we go to the range, right, it's purpose driven training, so that like we don't just show up and be like, hey, what are we doing out here? Well, I don't know. I figured we just like throw some rounds out. We don't do that, right? So what about you? What kind of tribe do you have around you? And are you pushing the standards on marksmanship and fundamentals and confidence building? Like, are you drilling down on things that nobody else is talking about, like mindset and situational awareness? I love it. Every freaking Tuesday at 7 p.m. Not the rest of the day. They're playing. Anywho, what do you guys do? Man, people are going to stop tuning into my freaking lives. We're going to have to start doing them at George's house or somewhere else. Stickers don't stop criminals. Yeah, that's a really good one. Stickers do not stop criminals. So like, what's the mindset in the group of people out there listening right now or watching this about, who do you have around you that you can count on? So let's bring up some current events. Those of you that aren't tracking, let's go ahead and, talk about the uncomfortable stuff that we don't want to talk about. But as we all know, there was a school shooting in Nashville. And that school shooting was committed by a prior student of that school that already knew the layout and all that stuff. And so by the time law enforcement arrived, I believe there had been no shots fired yet. And while they were rallying, getting like containment of the facility and whatnot, figuring out what was going to happen, I believe once they entered is when shots were fired. So if anybody watches the videos of the stuff that went down and how it was like handled, like I was talking to an LEO guy that's on our team, and after watching the video, and I was just like, now that is what we want our law enforcement to look like. He showed up, he took charge, he was like, hey, I need 3 more, let's go. Got 3 more people on him. He directed and choreographed that whole clearing of the bottom floor until they heard shots fired, at which point they hit the stairwell and they got upstairs to get into the fight. And the dude broke up off the stairs, hit the landing, panned around, sent it, and then just engaged that threat and put it down. Right. So like, could that guy could that police, are you telling me our police are so highly trained that everybody else that was standing around this one guy with a rifle with an LPVO on it, everybody around him was so capable, and they're all law enforcement officers, they're so capable of taking out this threat, but they were just like, you know what, man, like this dude is the man. We need to let him go ahead and do this. Like, we will wait. Look, people, and this is no offense to law enforcement. The law enforcement dudes that I know, those of you that are watching and that will watch this, I already know you guys are rock stars, and push comes to shove, you're going to shove, and you're going to shove hard, and everybody's going to feel it. And you're not going to sit around and be all scared. And in your fear, you're going to put that fear to use. So I'm not talking to the dudes that I know. All right. But like for most people out there, you have to understand that most law enforcement. Most. They've never been shot at. They've never been in a situation where they have to think so quickly through the fear of where is that threat? It's all unknown. Of course, it's scary, man. I was having this conversation with somebody today. I don't think I've ever really met somebody that was like in a gunfight that was like, yeah, I wasn't scared, especially if you went looking for it. Now, my past life, I did a lot of looking for gunfights. The thing that always brought me a very huge level of calm was that like I was very confident in my gear. I knew that I had plates that would defeat most bullets unless somebody like let off like a 50 cal or you know a whole crap ton of like if belt fed opened up on me, I was going to be screwed. But a dude with a rifle or pistol or something like that, man, I knew what my plates were rated for. And because I worked out in my gear, because I ran 5 miles and, did physical fitness and training, and because I trained in the field and in most situation you could think of with my gear was so fine tuned to me and how my body is shaped, how it moves, where my body swells when blood is coursing through it. Like I knew where my gear was. I knew where my mags were. It was all tailored to me and where I needed it to be. But more importantly, I knew where my gear was and what its capabilities were, which gave me a massive amount of confidence going into any conflict. The thing about it is that not only was I confident about my gear doing its job, or at least knowing the limitations of it, I had a lot of confidence in my training. I trained so much that I wasn't arrogant by any means. I knew that I'm a living, breathing human being, that my life can be taken very quickly. But if you put me up against somebody else with the gear that I had, I was so confident that at the maybe I would get shot, right? And maybe that would suck. And maybe that would take me out of the fight. But I had a lot of confidence that I would make it to like a trauma facility and my life would be saved. Might be missing a limb. I might, be missing a whole lot of blood. I might have a whole long road of rehab to go ahead of me, but I was very confident that I would not die. I was very confident that worst case scenario, I'd be in a hospital and I'd have a long road to recovery. Worst case scenario. And I felt that way because we just trained so daggone much. Now, the scary thing is that now I've been removed from my past life for 3 years, and I probably train more now than I did when I was in. So the war fighter that I was when I was in, I am a much better shot than I was then. And I would say as you age, you become more and more mature. Now that's me and that's my life and that's my story, right? Now, not every infantryman, not every warfighter was the same. You had the 9 to 5ers, the guys that were like always late to formation in the morning. They were the first ones trying to leave in before everybody else left in the evening. All that stuff. Like my point being this, like I watched that police officer today command and control that situation so well. And if he was afraid, and I'm sure he was, he stuffed that down his throat and he sent it. What more honorable way could you choose to die than giving up your life to save defenseless children? Right? That's what I think about when I think about these school shootings, and I think about our first responders, and they're charged with a tough charge, right? Like, hey, you got to show up, and you're not going to know where that person is, right? Like you're going to have to go find them. Tactical hide and go seek, right? And it is insanely terrifying to know that you have to go into an unknown space and go find something that is killing, either in the act of killing or it has the ability to kill in the intent. Um, it's not lost on me how scary that is. But I will tell you, watching that police officer today move the way he moved, I guarantee he was afraid, but he checked that stuff down and he said, you know what? This is my job and I'm gonna go do it. And daggone it, man, if I gotta die in the process, whatever. This is why I love that dude from Active Self-Protection. Before I would go on a deployment, I would kiss my wife, I would tell her I love her, I would kiss my kids, I would tell them that dad loves them, and I would leave my home knowing that, hey, I'm good, right? My wife knows she's loved, my children know they're loved, and if something happens to me, I have a full heart, right? Not a big deal. Like that level of like freedom allows people to exceed expectations on the battlefield. When these police officers that, like, God bless all of you, like I think about sometimes, I'm like, man, how easy was my job compared to yours, right? Like I got to go overseas and go pick fights with, you know, people and pretty much win all of them, but I got to leave that over there, whether it was Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever, right? I got to leave that stuff over there. It never followed me home. Maybe the effects of warfare followed me, but like I wasn't like a police officer. A police officer gets up, goes to work 5 out of 7 days, unless you're working different swing shifts, and that stuff could follow you home, literally, right? Like there's no outrunning, or there's no amount of distance that you can put in between you and bad people. They're everywhere, right? Um, so I speak when I talk about the tribe and training and the responsibility and these active shooters, and kind of like my view on how this situation went down in Nashville, as not like I'm roasting police officers, but like there were a crap ton of police officers around, as you watch the video, but like there was only one taking charge, and I don't know what I don't know. I'm sure that there was another team on the inside that had already worked their way up to the second floor. And either they're all like extremely highly trained, or, it was just kind of everybody rallied to the sound of shooting at the same exact time. I don't really know. I just know that this one police officer really just stood out above the rest. And what my point of even bringing this up isn't to like say, hey, police officers, you can't depend on them. But we as American citizens have to understand that police officers are first responders. Like they are first responders, man. Like those cops got there, man, and 6 people had already been killed. Like a police officer, you cannot, and I hate the bad rap that cops get, where they're like, man, well, if they would have been there quicker. And it's like, oh, well, when things go wrong, that's when you start calling first responders. They're called first responders because they're the first to respond to bad things, right? They're not clowns reporting to a birthday party, right? Like they're showing up usually in the worst possible circumstances you could possibly imagine, and we owe our police officers and our EMTs and our firefighters, we owe them way more than we give them. And I get it. There's bad apples in every bunch. There are bad apples in the warfighter bushel too, but yeah, I agree with that. And that was kind of my point, Vanessa. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of chiming in here. I got carried away, but yeah, like luckily I think that the shooter was kind of isolated. So maybe, it wasn't like as dire. I don't really know. The bottom line is there's so much we don't know, but like what I'm getting at here is the confidence that we should have in the people. Now, if you're a badge holder and you're out there protecting and serving all the time, and this is what I tell the guys I know, I would be peer pressuring the mess out of the police officers around me. I would be knocking on the chief of training's door. I would be talking to the deputy chief, the chief, where I would literally knock on every door until people opened it and listened to me. And my message would be nonstop, let's train. Now, I've told this, to more than one police officer out there. Like here at Team Anvil, one of our core things that we wanted to be able to do when I got out and I started this is I wanted to be able to give back to law enforcement. So whenever we go to law enforcement, it's actually their facilities, we don't charge them. Like I want to teach law enforcement what I know so that one cop that we saw today that like had that command and control and all that stuff, like everybody's like that. Now imagine if everybody is on the same level, and that's just going to drive up like competence. Yeah, they run in when most would run away, and like, man. So the Uvalde thing is evolving, and I almost cried. It broke my heart to hear two different situations. I get it. But like it broke my heart to hear grown men as shots are being fired saying, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to get shot. And it's like I feel like it's fair to say most people do not know how they're going to react to stressful situations until they're in them. However, that tells me that the training that we're doing, that we're running people through, isn't realistic training. It's not good. If the first time that you are having to think through stress is like the worst case scenario stress is in the moment of an active shooting at a elementary school or middle school or any kind of school, then I feel like we failed. And I get it. There's a lot of people that are like, yeah, well, city council kind of runs with the budget and tells people what to do. But that's got nothing to do with the cops around us, right? Or the law enforcement people around us. All right. The bottom line is that a lot of guys don't have like all the time in the world to do stuff. Like most people have jobs. They have like a 9 to 5, if you will, of some sort, where they got to go in, punch the clock, get out. And then the only time that they have with their family is when they're not at work or on the weekends. I've been asked a lot, hey, how do you balance, family and training and work and all this stuff? And I'm like, you know what? Like, I feel like we're all kind of doing this. We're all figuring it out, because what works good for my family for the next 90 days or the last 90 days may not work so well the next 90 days. Maybe I'll have to flex some time here or there. Maybe I'm going to have to do way more dry firing for this week than I will next week. The list goes on and on and on. But the one thing that remains the same is I try to surround myself with dudes that are going to pull me out. We're going to go to the range. We're going to make each other better. And we're going to treat it like it's a real live, like it's a real two-way range, right? Like, yeah, we're going to have fun, high five and stuff, but we're going to sweat. We're going to puke. We're going to go out there and we're going to train, because, well, if I end up in a situation where it's like Uvalde and you have like law enforcement cordoning off an elementary school and my buddy's kids, like we've all rallied to that school to see what's going on. And my buddy's kid is inside of that school. If law enforcement looked at us and was like, hey, you guys can't go in. We have this thing contained. We're going to wait for a tactical team to show up. The very next thing that we would do, and we've already talked about it, we're going to go to our vehicles and we're going to go get our plate carriers and all of our gear, our helmets and NOS and our rifles and everything. And we're going to go into that school and we're going to go we're going to go find that threat and we're going to go put them down, if we have to. But we're going to save lives. We're not going to stand around and let little kids get freaking clapped waiting on anybody. That's the wrong answer. We live in a country now that has like kind of convinced the population at large that like, hey, you have handcuffs on you. And if you do anything outside of that, Well, we're going to break you over a barrel. I would, getting back to Billy and what he said, all day, every day, I would rather be judged by 12, man, than knowing that, like, if I would have just acted, people could have been saved. I couldn't live with that. I'd rather go to prison for the rest of my life than to sit around and watch kids get killed. I couldn't do it. So, how do we get everybody to a level of excellence when we're all searching for the 25th hour in a day and everybody has felt the insane pinch from inflation? Nobody's getting paid more, everything costs more. So our quality of life is kind of getting shrunk down, right? So what do we do? Well, I think, yeah. Um, so I've done some. So let me get some of these comments in here. I've been kind of yapping away, not paying attention. Don't outsource your personal protection. Yeah, for real. I like that. Yeah, outsourcing your personal protection. Well, somebody else there will have a gun or somebody else will protect me. So he's saying his Springfield on purpose. He asked me what he should do. He can't find a holster for his Springfield XD, whatever. And I was like, dude, first thing you should do is sell that. And then no. And yeah, at least the state law already saw that. Not a lawyer. Okay. Don't ask, don't tell. All right. Garrett. Don't ask, don't harass. The dog. All right. I think I'm caught up. Once a month and workout. Well, yeah, I just found out about that when I was talking to one of the guys in your group, Billy, about that. I was like, dude, that's so cool that you guys do that. It's so smart. And you guys have a pretty decent sized group too. So, confidence is confidence. Yep. Hey, what's up, Vanessa Kitty? She's in the house. Daryl Stevens. What's up, my man? They run in with Mo. Yep. Yeah, and that's the thing, like training, right? Like, so, man, so I'm not gonna like tell Alex's story for him, but like, we got a guy, like, he was on, I forget what crazy shift he was on for a while, but like he would come meet us after his shift. So he would already have been up for like around 24 hours at this point, and like he would come out and train with us because there's just no other time to do it, you know. Competence through peer pressure. I'm all about it. So, yeah, Virtua. Yeah, simulation training. That's what's up. So, yeah, so like we did simulation training. I don't know. We had our event back in, what is this? What month are we in March, right? Was it March? February? I don't remember. Anyways, so when we did our event, what we did is a lot of guys were making the same mistakes over and over, and we split the group, right? So we had half on the catwalk looking down, then we had two teams on the ground that could kind of like roll in one after another. But like after about an hour, I'd say, of like kind of watching the same mistakes happen, I was like, you know what? We're going to kind of deviate from the training plan and we're going to press the fast forward button. We're going to go into simulations training right now. Now we're going to train. We've already taught you the tactics. We've already taught you, we've hammered the principles, taught you a little tactics. Nobody's getting it. Well, you're going to get it when you get shot, right? Like all of a sudden it's going to matter. Oh, wait, take that, use that lead foot. If I'm on the weak side of the door and I'm entering through that threshold, then maybe I need to have my strong side protected. Maybe that means my footwork. Oh, I get now why I need to have that. So I don't run into that part of the threshold. And if I don't run into that part of the threshold, then I can clearly see my point of domination. If I can see my point of domination, then I can switch on to the unknown areas, the dark holes in that room that I can't see so well, so that I don't get shot, right? And all these things started making sense, because now all of a sudden, when you introduce pain, yeah, pain is a great teacher. You start introducing pain into this. Now all of a sudden it's real, and it's like, that sucked. I don't want to feel that again. How do I not do that? All right, cool. And then rinse that off of you, put it back in, scrub it down, tumble it, spin it, rinse it, all that stuff. Keep recycling the process until all of a sudden now you're not getting shot. So I was so happy, honestly, like after our Simunitions training event, because like the caliber of people that came into that, like their shooting level was not average, it was above average, right? And that was proven because like when I didn't get shot in my arms or anything. I got shot in my hand once, and then I got plate shot like a crap ton, and my nods took around. So a headshot, right? But like nothing else anywhere else. And I was wearing short sleeves, right? I wasn't even wearing a hoodie. I was so impressed with just like the level of proficiency and efficiency within everybody that showed up, that like I had to think about it. And I'm sitting there staring at my plate carrier, and I'm like, dude, man, when we do our Silent Legion projects, like we got chewed up, man. It looked like we got into a fight with like a meat eating hornet's nest. But you got to get people out there. And, unfortunately, like sometimes you can get out there with the boys if you have a good group and a good squad, and you can like drill down on stuff for the squad. But if you don't, you're kind of forced to go seek out training. And everybody and their mother is a trainer, like, so knowing who to go get training from and who's actually going to add value to your life, who wants to see you better prepared versus who wants more money in their pocket. I get it. It's a big pool out there, and it's intimidating, and that can lead to paralysis. Like, hey, I'm just going to choose to not go train and I'll just save my money up, buy ammo, and go to the range here and there. Look, Lucas Bakken, man, he proved, and this is why I'm wearing T-Rex Arms hat right now, is like, I'm not trying to take money away from my business by any means, but like, he kind of proved, man, like you don't have to be ex-military, you don't have to be law enforcement. All you have to do is be very mission focused, like target oriented, and go to the range with purpose, and you can get better, Yeah, March 11th. But if you're not going to do that, and you want to trust people to help you get better and get over that hump, so that maybe one day, if you're ever in that position, you can fight, win, and survive it with confidence. And that's where, like, you got to build your tribe, right? And you want to build your tribe around guys that have been there and done that. Not that we're like, hey, I was in the Army, or I was in the Air Force, or I'm a veteran. It's like, I can tell you how many times I touched a pistol. I had a pistol for a whole deployment, and I can tell you how many times I used it in combat, or even pulled it out of the holster in combat. 0, right? And I was, well, whatever. I don't really, and I tell people this every single class that I do. It doesn't even matter what I did in my past life. It doesn't even matter a little bit. Only thing it did is it gave me a crap ton of experience, right? And perspective. If I'm not doing anything today to maintain that level of proficiency or get better, then nothing that I ever did before matters, right? It matters what I'm doing right freaking now. Like I need to be able to build on everything. And so do you. And so do the people around you. And that's why I always encourage people, like, seek out good quality trainers. Go pay the $500 for that course. Your pistol courses and rifle courses, you should be shooting a minimum of 500 rounds. Like, I know that sounds expensive, and it is, but like, if you're not shooting a high volume of bullets out of your pistol or rifle, you're not gonna walk home with mechanically driven skills. You might go home and be like, unless it's like simunitions training or something like that, those are like kind of like the exceptions to the rule. But again, for our events, when we do that stuff, you're there for like 6 hours and you're drilling down really at the end of the day on the same exact things time after time after time. You're just changing the scenery every time you do it. Yeah, so the plug is obviously like seek out good trainers. We're here in Central Ohio. We'd love to have your business, and we would, treat that appropriately. Like, we understand the responsibility that comes with training. $3,000 rifle. Is that with like all the attachments on it, or is that just the rifle? Because that's crazy. Yeah, I was doing the math too on mine. Like, my rifle's a little bit more expensive than yours with everything on it, but I also have the maul. So, but anyways, a whole moral to the story here tonight, everyone, is we really, really, really want to see the people that we know and those that we haven't met yet, get the best possible training that they can get. I'm very confident when I tell you that the experience and the humility that we have on our side at Team Anvil, it's going to give you a good training environment, and you're going to learn some stuff. It's really good. What do you say? That it true, but there's a lot to the mental game. Have to say the pistol intelligence course I took with Riley Bowman was a low round count, but tremendous value. Okay, so yep, I've never been to that. I did go through like a mindset and awareness course taught by some pretty cool dudes, where I think we shot like around 300 rounds, but like we were literally working through shoot, no shoot all the time, like almost all the time. There were lanes and scenarios we went through where we didn't fire a round. And if you did, you were in big trouble. So yeah, I get it, man. How much was that course? It doesn't say. Oh, they're talking about his round. But yeah, go out there and get training, and if you have good trainers, like they're gonna improve that course. Maritime Ops keeps all your gear clean. Yeah, so something we're working on too, just so everybody knows. Well, I'm gonna end with this first. Find a tribe, get training with your tribe, and continue to get better. Find good trainers in your local area, and or maybe not local, maybe regional, whatever. If you don't have any good trainers in your local area, find good training and go pay for it, because you won't regret it. If it was bad training, you still won't regret it, because that'll be somebody that you can put into the universe to everybody else. Like, hey, don't go to this person because it's a waste of your money, right? But find a tribe, neighborhood defense force, whatever you want to call it, right? Get a group of people together, train with them regularly, because your life matters, and so do the lives around you. When it comes to our training coming up in the near future, we have our Pistol 2 course, which is coming up on Friday. Super excited to get that going. We have just enough people for the instructors, so it works out perfect. If for whatever reason you are still wanting to get in on the Friday course, let me know. We could put you on a standby roster, and if anybody cancels, or we may be able to bring in another instructor. If we get 4 more people, then we'll bring in another instructor, and that'll be fine. So we can handle 4 more max, but that's it. Beyond that, we have our first meet and shoot of the season. Now that the snow is gone, fingers crossed it stays gone. I don't know what's going on with the weather here in Ohio. It's like cold, 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 hot, cold, cold, cold. Still don't get it. But we'll be doing that. It'll be Sunday, April 2nd from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. out at Cardinal Shooting Center in Marengo. So it's a kind of where we usually do it. And beyond that, we have our April, I keep messing up the date. April 15th is our Lights Out tour stop at Patriots Attic. That's a Saturday from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. I'm pretty excited about that. That's going to be a good time just to get people together too. I mean, it's cheap. It's $50 per person. There's going to be a raffle at that event for an LP1 sight from Lead and Steel and some other things. So I think it'll be a good opportunity for people to show up, meet other people that are kind of like-minded, and just. And we're not just going to have you come out and just throw rounds down range, right? Like, you're going to come out, like, if you want to partake in the low light, no light pistol and rifle portion, we're going to do that. Then we're going to set up the fun bay, which is like an open pit. We're going to set that up, and we're going to do some target discrimination stuff, nods, right? Like, so there will be a place for everybody to shoot if they just want to free shoot. But we're gonna use it as an opportunity to kind of hopefully add some value to your life and maybe a new tool to your kit, and then you can carry that around for the rest of your life and keep sharpening it away. So let's go over here, see what anybody's got going on. Doesn't really look like a lot. Definitely appreciate everybody chiming in and tuning in tonight. A little bit of a tough conversation to have, but whether you're law enforcement or not, I would say, touch the people around you and just see, hey, are you as good as you're ever going to be? If the answer is no, then be like, hey, let's go train on this day. Like, make it a thing. Create your own group. Would love to join you in your group for some training sometime. So let me know when you guys are training and what you're doing. And maybe I'll be able to make it up there. Maybe some of the team guys, we can come up too. But heck yeah, you do, Daryl. Man, yeah, that would be great to see you. Hopefully you can make it out. Man, whenever. You can come to anything, really. I mean, it'd be great to see you. It's always good to see people, especially when you realize that your lives crossed paths, and whatnot. But until the next time, everybody, stay safe, live free, and train hard. Later.